Welcome back to FastTalks channel. In this video we will read another article, and I want to read not all of the article, just the most important parts of the article. So let's start. Node.js is a backend JavaScript runtime built in Chrome's V8 engine that's asynchronous and event-driven by nature. It's relatively simple to create a REST API with Node.js and use frameworks like Express.js. With this simplicity comes a lot of flexibility. However, you can get sidetracked on what patterns to follow when building scalable network-driven applications. This article focuses on some of the patterns and best practices to follow when building Node.js applications. We will learn about code style, error handling, loggers, and testing. So let's dive in. Node.js coding style and best practices. Constant let keywords to declare variables. It's a very simple part. If it's possible, just use constant let and not use the old school var. So let's skip it. Proper naming conventions. It's also simple part of this article. If you want to have a scalable, good application, you should use proper naming. It's very simple. It's very simple to understand. If you want a constant value, you should use upper snake case. If you name a const function, you should use camel case. It's very simple. ESLint and style guides. Instead of overthinking the project's coding style, use a linting tool like ESLint. Over the years, it has become the JavaScript ecosystem standard for fixing code styles automatically. ESLint checks for possible code errors, fixes code styles such as spacing issues, avoids anti-patterns and small errors, and keeps project code uniform. Using ESLint with a tool like Prettier can help you fix performance issues as well. By default, ESLint contains standard rules for vanilla JavaScript and has a plugin system specific to the framework. For Node.js, you can use plugins like ESLint Plugin Node and ESLint Plugin Node Security. It is much easier to understand a large project when its code is written in a consistent style. This is where style guides come in handy. Using a style guide enhances a team's productivity and avoids arguments about the best style guide for Node.js projects. In addition, you can obtain the already existing style guides created by companies like Google and Airbnb that have been tested with time. So, as for me, I'm using the Airbnb style guide for ESLint. It's very good practice. I advise you to use Airbnb code style for ESLint. Error handling in Node.js. You can handle errors using async await syntax in the built-in error object in Node.js. Let's take a look at both. Async await syntax to catch errors. When Node.js first came out, handling asynchronous code meant using callbacks. From my experience, it doesn't take too long for nested callbacks to get out of hand. This is known as callback hell, and here's a typical example. Oh yeah, there it is. The example above is quite ergonomic. In a real scenario, there will be many more lines of code in each function scope. This is considered an anti-pattern. Handling the callback style of errors gets more awkward and only gets more unmaintainable with more nested functions. You can avoid nested callbacks or callback hell by using ES6 async await syntax, completely supported by Node.js version 8 and onwards. Async await is a way to deal with asynchronous code. It provides a much more compact way of writing code and ephemeral code syntax. To handle errors, you can use try-catch blocks along with async await syntax. If you use async await, you can rewrite the previous examples like this. So it looks like more clear to understand. We have async function and await function A and await function B. and if not, we should catch error and log it error. Built-in Node.js error object. Errors are impossible to avoid, however, in many cases you will want to handle errors such as rejected promises and strong exceptions. To avoid complications in error handling, use the built-in error object in Node.js. It helps you maintain uniformity and prevent loss of information. You can also reap the advantages of writing information with stack trace. As an example, throw a string as shown below. If not data, throw there is no data. This lacks any stack trace information and is an anti-pattern. Instead, use the built-in error object. If not data, throw new error, there is no data. So I should say it is a very good practice to have a stack trace. It would be more simple to debug your application if we use built-in error object because of stack trace. Loggers for your Node.js project. There is no denying it, we will all use console statements at times. They can be good for quickly debugging sometimes or printing a standard output, but the console lacks proper configuration options for production-grade applications. It is also crucial for a logger to be high-performant in identifying errors and possible issues. A slow logging library might harm your application's runtime performance. A typical logger lets you use core clock levels such as fatal, warn, info, error, debug, and trace. These levels help to identify and distinguish between different critical events. A logger will also provide contextual information in adjacent objects, with timestamped log lines for you to determine when the log entry occurred. The log format should be readable by human beings. A good logging library provides features that makes it easier to centralize and format logs. In the Node.js ecosystem, the following are some of the options available: Winston, Banyan, Log4j, Pino. An example of configuring Pino: const app, require express, const Pino, require Pino HTTP, app use, app get, result, request, app listen, connection, 3000. Pino also supports various web frameworks in the Node.js ecosystem such as Festify, Express, Happy, Cola, and Nest. Writing tests in Node.js. If you work on a big application, you will make continuous changes to the app's source code. By writing tests, you can avoid breaking existing features when pushing a new change. Failing tests will also help you to determine where to make changes in specific sections of your code. Write API tests. In a Node.js application, writing API tests is a good start. They provide more coverage than unit testing. You can use frameworks like Supertest, Jest, or any other library that provides a high-level abstraction for testing APIs. Consider the example below. It is a simple Express app that serves one route. Const express, const body parser, const app equal express app.use. JSON URL encoded, app.get, request result next, model exports equal app. Here's the proper way to write this using Supertest. Const require, const app require, describe, index, it, async, arrow function, result await, app, status code to equal 200, it's okay, result body, hello world. Write clear test names. It's also a necessary part of this article. It's simple to understand. You should also, if you have best practices in naming convention, it's really easy to understand to write clear test names. A test name should be descriptive and self-explanatory for other people working on the team. It should include what is being tested, the scenario, and expected result. It sounds easy, but in real world, it's really hard to make a new test name for the variable for the test. Inspect outdated packages. You can check out for outdated packages with commands like npm outdated or use a package like npm check. This will prevent build fails related to outdated packages. Inspect for vulnerable dependencies. So it is a more important part of this article. A package can have vulnerabilities. Use community-based tools such as npm audit or commercial tools like Snyk to discover vulnerabilities. If you don't use these tools, the only alternative is to keep up with tech communities online. So, as for me, I use npm audit. Wrap up, write better code for your Node.js or Node.js apps. In this article, we covered practices and patterns that could help you avoid anti-patterns and write better code for your Node.js applications. We looked at some key principles around coding style, error handling, loggers, and testing. Some of the practices we discussed are more general, like checking for outdated packages or vulnerable dependencies. Others, such as using a performance logging library using ESLint and style guides, will help you maintain a consistent way of writing code, especially when working on large projects. Happy coding! In conclusion, I would say that it is a very interesting article to read. Some parts of this article are really important for me, for you. So if you want to start your way as a backend developer in Node.js, you should use the tips in this article. So thanks for watching. Bye!